What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Scott Gatamas, your host, and this is our annual Everyday is Earth Day show tonight. And of course, every year, we've been doing this now for over 4 years. So we always celebrate Earth Day. And since it's a couple of days after Earth Day, and a lot of our friends and colleagues did wonderful Earth Day shows. There was one on Saturday, that a lot of our friends put together. There was another one on Sunday. There was another one on Monday. So we just want to celebrate that every day is Earth Day. And so I want to just briefly let you know who's going to be joining us tonight. He's back. We celebrated it a big way that Om Shar is back from England, and he's going to bless us with 2 songs tonight. And then you might have met recently, we've had her on the show now twice, Sylvie Rokob, and she created a beautiful movie. And we'll learn all about the movie she created. But more recently, she put together an incredible Earth Day summit. Wait until you hear about what she did. And I know many of you actually participated in it. People were sending me messages of, oh my God, Sylvie's summit is so amazing. So those of you who watched the summit, please make sure you put comments in the chat box for Sylvie to see and for us to read. But wait, there's more. To kind of talk about what's happening locally, we have a global peace triber, Deborah Emanuel, who's going to share about the wonderful work she's doing as an example of thinking globally but acting locally. And also my friend Lori Grace will be sitting next to me shortly, and she'll be sharing a little bit about the incredible sustainable farm she's created. And great music continues with Jesse Epp is back. We had him on the show once before, and everybody was so touched by the beauty of his music. I said, Jesse, could you come back for our Earth Day show? And he said yes, because he's clearly the lover of the earth. And Gaia was just whispering to me today, saying, tell Jesse how much I love him. So there's a message from Mother Gaia for you, my friend.
Thank you. Nice to see you all again.
And going into music, we are going to go right into beloved brother Om Shar, getting us going. What do you got for us today?
Well, it's a gentle one today. I felt in a very tender mood today, and the song that sprang to mind was something called The Garden of One. And of course, the Garden of One is the earth that we're on, and the Garden of One within our hearts. And so it's a gentle song, and maybe because of Eleanor, and she can only do the rocking chair thing. But before I continue, I would like to welcome Connie and Andrew, who are beaming in from Adelaide in Australia. G'day, mates. They are down by the Billabong, and I know that they are somewhere here. In fact,
there they are. I just brought them on.
Yeah. So, so they are in a satellite connection of the community they're in with in Colorado here. There's several around the world, and maybe we can talk about that a bit later. But anyway, welcome, beautiful ones. So good to have you here.
Yay. Great to be here. Thanks for the shout out.
I am with you here inside. Don't worry, don't worry. And I love you more than you could know. So come along now and lay your head on my heart, on my heart. Close your eyes, dear, and rest a while in me. Keep open your heart and let in the sun, and bathe yourself in the garden of one. Know you're at home and in my embrace. Here is divine grace. Here is divine grace. Hey, Terry. 'Cause now I ask you to take a step towards me, toward me. I can feel your longing to be home. So come along now and lay your head on my heart, on my heart. Close your eyes, dear, and rest a while in me. Keep open your heart and let in the sun. Bathe yourself in the garden of one. Know you're at home and in my embrace. Here is divine grace. Here is divine grace. Ba-ba-da-dum-da, da-da-dum, 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 ba-ba-da-da-da-da. Close your eyes, dear, and rest a while in my heart, in my heart. 'Cause I can feel your longing to be home. Keep open your heart and let in the sun, and bathe yourself in the garden of one. Know you're at home and in my embrace. Here is divine grace. Here is divine grace. Here is empty space.
It's so good to have you back. Let's go to gallery view, everybody, and give them some good twinkles.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything but good twinkles, right?
Twinkle, twinkle, oh Mashar, you are a
Now
star.
I know who you are.
And a reminder for anyone who doesn't know yet, the best way to get his music is to go to Bandcamp. And so if you go to omashar.bandcamp.com, there they are, all of his albums. And that's how we can support him, is by buying his music and listening to it. Because every one of those songs, every one of these songs now, those of us that are regulars, it's just like, I get teary-eyed listening to his albums. It's like,
Some of them I know, and also when you, I get a check about 2 or 3 times a year for about $50, and it comes through Spotify mainly, and so you can go to Spotify and listen to all that stuff as well, and Spotify/Omar Shah. So yeah, thank you.
oh, okay, well, I'll start promoting Spotify. I always thought Bandcamp was the best
Well,
one.
no, Bandcamp's the best way because it actually gives me money when people actually buy. But to Spotify, I think you get 0.00001, but they add up, and there it is.
Well, and more people are listening. That's the key.
And really, it's about getting the message out in any way, shape, or form to the world that we're awakening. And here's the tools and the support. So,
Absolutely. It's great to have you with us.
love you, bro.
How do you, while you're here, how do you make every day Earth Day?
Well, every day is Earth Day for me because the very first thing that I do after I get up and get my cup of English breakfast tea is I go out and greet the sun. I take my shoes off, snow or not snow, feet on the ground. If no one's looking, I'll take my shirt off because I'm a little bit shy in that way. But I greet the sun and greet Mother and Father through the sun, and greet the earth and greet the trees, and I acknowledge it. And if I don't do that, I get withdrawal symptoms because there's a part of me missing. And the foundation of us all is Mother Gaia, and all of the elements and all of the elementals. And it really brought it home to me going to England. And this scene that you see behind me is one that I took about 3 weeks ago in Stratford upon Avon. I know I've mentioned it before, but as I was there, this beautiful rainbow appeared, whoop, and it reminded me, just don't ever forget me, dude. This is Mother Earth being duty with me. And I'm at the top of your Christmas card list, and so I remember that every single day by taking my shoes off, going and greeting the sun, greeting the Mother Earth, greeting the trees, and letting that be the start of my day, and my cup of tea, of course. So and throughout the day, I'm making it a habit, and with momentum, because when you have a momentum of habit within your being, it calls out when it's missing. And so when I go walking in the mountains here, the Rocky Mountains, I'll go and hug a few trees, and there's some amazing rock formations here. It's all powerful, and that's how I remember every day as Earth Day. Yeah.
Beautiful reminders. Thank you. And I'm sure many of our audience can relate to that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of our audience, I'm going to read a few comments and then bring up Sylvie. Richard just wrote, yes, we need that beautiful sun, spelled both ways, S-O-N-S-U-N. Terry Russo writes, I love the sun, and I agree about feeling withdrawal if we have too many cloudy days. Susan S., we have a few Susans with us. Susan S. writes, what a loving, heart-filled, beautiful song. Thank you, Omar Shah. I agree. And our dear Charlotte, I love the people who've been to both of our retreats, and that includes Charlotte and her sister. Charlotte writes, beautiful brother Omar Shah. Terry Russo, thank you, Omar Shah. And the next comment is from another Susan Bloomquist, who writes, hi, Sylvie. I participated in the Heart of Nature Summit this week, and it was aptly named. I found many presentations have real information and heart-centered relation with nature. I enjoyed your interviewing style as well. Well done. Well, Susan, I'm going to use that as our introduction for Sylvie, because we are really blessed to have kind of our keynote speaker tonight is Sylvie. Put together an entire summit with amazing presenters, Jane Fonda and Marianne Williamson and dozens of others. And Sylvie, well, first of all, congratulations. It's an incredible.
Thank you. I'm so honored. Go ahead. Sorry.
You will know, and tell us all about it. Tell us, how did it start? How did it go? Tell us all about it.
So, it's a very long story made very short. Some of you on the call might be familiar, might have heard of my movie, Love Thy Nature. It turned out that the Buddha Fest, which Eric Forbes was running at the time, selected the film to be opening night at Buddha Fest in Washington, D.C. We really hit it off, befriended each other. And during COVID, Eric started doing all these summits. And, you know, the film Love Thy Nature launched me to this world of doing nature mindfulness and teaching meditation and everything in nature, or bringing nature to your essence, right? The realization of nature being, as I like to call it. And I suggested to Eric, I said, Eric, since, you know, you've been doing all these summits and reaching so many people, why don't we do something in the realm of bringing the heart of nature into the world? And we came up with this concept, and, you know, it was an amazing collaboration because, first of all, we got to invite all these amazing people, which I've been honored to interview. And I'm not the only co-host. There's also Mark Coleman. Some of you might know of him. He's known in the realm of nature mindfulness and nature meditations. And Christy Peoples, who you know, was a producer at Sounds True. And so she's been also amazing in doing these interviews. And then all these folks, you know, said yes to our invitation of coming on board. And the vision really here is to bring heart to environmentalism, right? To really realize that we can only really make a difference if we learn to connect even with the people who think very differently than we do. And also to bring heart to all of our systems, in the sense that it's like we have to address things like racism and homophobia and all of the other isms and phobias that exist in the world, and also address patriarchy and realize that we need to balance the deep and divine masculine with the deep and divine feminine. And revitalizing indigenous wisdom is also very key to our own health and well-being, but also the health, and realizing that the sacredness of nature needs to be imbued in every system, and on and on. So there's so much I can tell you. It was really challenging to find 5 clips to share with you because we have 38 sessions, and
Oh my God. And they're
one
all
is more
fabulous,
amazing than
of
the
course,
other.
right?
So, you know, I'm delighted to be sharing with you some of these clips, and just to give you a sense of like where we're going, how we're approaching this. So if that's okay, I'd like to share the first clip.
Go for it. And just,
Okay. So
you-
it's basically on the
spot.
first day of the summit, which we called Healing with Nature, right? The reciprocal relationship of healing with nature. And the clip I'm going to show you now is from a conversation between Christy Peoples and Amos Clifford, who is the founder of the Association of Nature and Forest Therapy. And he basically trains guides in the realm of forest bathing. And he's been a teacher and a mentor to me, and I've got certified through him and his organization. And so I'm going to share with you a couple of minutes, more like 4 minutes, of what he talks about and what he inspires us with. So let me just share the screen. Here we go. All right.
With the heart of nature, a lot of that has to do with invitations that take us into a terrain that we call the imaginal world. Now, I need to be real clear. I'm not talking about imaginary, like a fantasy. I'm talking about a power, potency in our imaginative capacity that allows us to experience unseen parts of the world. So an example of that would be an invitation I might give a group is to find a tree that you just feel drawn to. And as you approach that tree, take your time, feel it, let it see you. When you come to the tree, what feels like the right place, the right distance, maybe introduce yourself. And when you listen, so you speak, when you listen, It's not just with your ears, it's with the whole of your being, but especially the region around your heart. And the response of the tree may not be words at all. Words may be there, but they may be your translation of the images and impulses and inspirations and dreamlike ideas that come to you as you're listening with your heart. Perhaps ask the tree a question. Maybe there's a question that you haven't wanted to ask anyone. It feels too personal. One of the nice things about trees is they're not judgmental. They're not billing by the hour. They're not going to make a diagnosis. They're just going to be there and listen. Maybe there's just something that's on your mind that you want to talk about. And typically, people who do this, if we structure it in the guided walk, so that 10 or 15 minutes for this, then we come and we'll stand in a circle and give people a chance to briefly share what their experience was. Almost everybody, very, very few exceptions, almost everybody finds something of value in that. What I've found in that over the years of practice is that communicative ability is centered in my heart. And the way I experience this is if you think of your heart as having a field that emanates out, and this field is an imaginal field, not imaginary, it's imagined. And as that field is emanating out, it's receiving impressions from all the world around us, from everything that's going on. This may be part of what's at the root of intuition. We're receiving impressions. Typically, we don't notice them. But if we're coming up to the tree also has its own field. The tree has its heart. It's not an organ like ours, but it has its essence. And when I speak of the heart, that's mostly what I'm talking about. The truth of the essence of who we are. It's like an eternal quality that we have that is everywhere in our bodies and beyond, but is centered in our. So this imaginal sphere that we're moving through the landscape with encounters the same, the equivalent from the trees, from the stones, the rivers, the birds. And when we have that contact in our imaginal spheres, that's where some kind of change happens.
So that's a little bit about what forest bathing is about, where guides basically offer invitations where people have an opportunity to slow way down, quiet the mind, open the heart, and have a relational rapport with the beings of nature. And so I found this clip to be really interesting because he really goes into the heart of the issue, which is allowing oneself to be present in a way that feels relational, that feels vulnerable, that feels fully present, and seeing the beings as sentients. So other sessions within the Healing with Nature day.
Before you continue, I want to just bring Thomas Sharp, who didn't know that I was going to bring him up. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I love catching people like that.
Well, I was carry on.
Sorry about that. But I just thought it was so perfect that here he was talking about hugging trees.
It is. Sylvie, I'm just so blessed that you're bringing this open face to us because as I've mentioned to the tribe here, this tree on the left was planted as a plane tree, PLANE, N-E. I've known it my whole life. It was planted when Shakespeare was born, so it's over 400 years old. And I've developed a relationship with it. And there's a pine tree just a bit further up the Shakespeare Gardens there. I go and visit it every time I go to England. And you have to really slow down and clear your mind to communicate and actually hear the communication back. And what is the embarrassing thing for me is I'm there. I found a way to lean against a tree, but it's a tourist place and there's people walking by all the time. And I'm sort of going, I'm watching this weird faux FAUX shame come up for me about being so openly loving towards nature. So thank you for bringing this to our attention, to my attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just encourage everybody, you know, go out, and whether it's just taking your bare feet and walking in the grass, you know, walking in the grass and bare feet, actually, it's been scientifically proven, you probably know this, Sylvie, that it does all sorts of healthy things for us.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to bring in Omar for a moment and really anchor that in, because it's something everyone can do. We can all connect even to a patch of grass or whatever tree is nearby. And I'm now turning it back over to you to show whatever you want to show next.
Sure. So I just want to say that there are a couple of days that I didn't have clips for, in the sense that it's like I didn't want to overwhelm you with clips, and we have 7 days for the summit. But those 2 days really go deeper into what it means to, you know, Thich Nhat Hanh used the expression interbeing, which is really realizing that every cell of our being has the elements of the moon and the stars, and everything we eat comes from the land, and all of the animals that we have relationships with, they're kin. We're actually, one of the interviews that is fascinating is with Dana Baumeister. She is the co-founder of Biomimicry at 3.8, and she talks about realizing how young we are in the history of our existence, right? So the next clip that I'm going to share with you is from one of my sheroes, as I'd like to call her. This is Nina Simons. She is the co-founder of Bioneers. They just celebrated their 35th year. It's a conference that brings together people from all over the world. And our conversation was on the day that had empowering the divine feminine, or the deep feminine, as a theme. And Nina's perspective is, how do we like reinvent leadership instead of being a top-down approach? How can we bring everybody, all people represented at the table? So I'm delighted to be sharing this clip with you. Here we go. As I have a funny expression to start. Attributes that we consider to be feminine. By the way, I want to also emphasize that the feminine does not necessarily mean women, right? Everyone across the gender spectrum has both attributes that are masculine and feminine. So we're talking in those terms, right? Yes. So why is it that those attributes are so critical for effective leadership, whether it's personal, organizational, social, political, and in the natural world? If you could talk to us about that.
Well, you know, my big aha having to do with gender happened in the mid-90s when I saw a film called The Burning Times. And part of what happened for me, Sylvie, is that I saw that it wasn't only having 7 generations witness the systematic persecution and torture and burning of women for the supposed crime of being witches, but that all of our social systems in Europe at that time transformed from the purview of the, quote, feminine or the yin to the purview of the masculine. And And when we say even the words feminine and masculine, they're so loaded because really we need to reclaim the definitions of each of them as well.
That's right.
So, right?
Good point.
Because, because as women, I want to have a healthy masculine within me as well as a healthy feminine.
Right.
And, you know, and all the ancient wisdom traditions spoke of the value of, you know, our fullest human potential being the balanced masculine and feminine.
Mhm.
So, you know, there's a fascinating study that folks can look up online called the Athena Doctrine. And it was a study that was done globally about leadership. And they interviewed, I don't know, thousands of people across 73 countries. And what they came up with was that fully 66% of their respondents said the world would be a healthier, better, more equitable place if more people led like women. Right? So I think the truth is we have had a perverted version of the masculine that has been goal-oriented, it's been power over, it's been dominating, it's been force rather than seduction. And I think we need a balance of, you know, the kind of focus that the masculine can bring and the kind of determination that a healthy masculine can bring with the quality of relational intelligence and compassion and perseverance that the feminine can bring, and flexibility and partnership, right? So it's all those things. And I think, as you say, regardless of our temporary gender assignment, that rebalancing is necessary not only for us as individuals, but for all of our institutions and systems and sectors as well, because as is blatantly obvious, you know, our political systems aren't working, our educational systems aren't working, our medical systems are in desperate need of reinvention. Everything about our civilizational lives is ready for reinvention. And we need that reinvention with the full partnership of the yin and the yang, entwined and interdependent.
All right. So,
totally
I mean,
agree.
any
Totally.
thoughts or any questions or, yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna read a couple of comments, but I totally agree.
sure.
As a tall white man, I want to say I have learned through my life that, God, I wish women had been given the power to lead, because us guys, we have blown it in a big way. We really have. And you know, when I worked with Al Gore, and he said that what they've learned in charity, always give the money to the grandmothers, because the grandmothers will make sure that the money is best utilized. You know, and it's really true. It's like, it's time to let the grandmothers lead, not the grandfathers. We got two grandfathers, old men running for president again. Let's get the grandmothers in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I get really inspired with the idea that we can sort of transform both the masculine and the feminine, because we need both. And yeah, one way or another, certainly bringing more women to, and certainly when I say women, I say people identified as women or people with female or women characteristics, but more in leadership positions, as you say, Scott, would really make a huge difference. Anyway, I also have a clip that I found to be incredibly inspiring, because here we are, it's kind of like we're sort of like dismantling stereotypes, because if we want to really create a world that is heart-centered, that is empowering, that is life-affirming, all of these different systems need to be looked at. And one of them is, how do we bring the indigenous wisdom at the heart of our systems? And Lila June is one of the indigenous peoples that I interviewed her. It was part of our Revitalizing Indigenous Wisdom Day. And she has a background of being very tuned in to her indigenous lineages, and she has a PhD in the field of discovering how indigenous peoples around the world they weren't just walking in the wilderness looking for berries. These folks were powerfully, actively cultivating the forests and the lands in such a way that there was enormous abundance of food. Yes, for them people, but also for all beings of the land. So they were actually restoring and enhancing ecosystems. So anyway, let me shut up. Can I play this clip now?
Absolutely. We
Okay,
love
great.
Mother June, so we're looking forward to seeing this.
Fantastic. Let me share my screen here. Here we go.
And I'm one of many Native people who are being called upon these days to sort of share with the world in the time of great need. And I can't tell you how many conferences and panels and roundtables I've been to. I've even presented in front of the US Fish and Wildlife Department, along with a dozen other Native people. In fact, the White House, under the Biden administration, early on when he first took office, created an MOU that required every federal agency to integrate traditional ecological knowledge of Indigenous peoples into every federal agency. So that's been hard to operationalize, to actually make real, because it's such a huge cultural gap we have to bridge. However, it's cool that it was even done, right? That there was an MOU that said this. That's a huge win for, I think, us as Native people and for the world. And it just signals how the world is trying to now learn from the very thing it almost destroyed, right? They wiped out 98% of Indigenous peoples in this continent, according to most estimates. So they nearly annihilated us. And now they're coming to us and saying, you know, we were wrong. We don't know what we're doing. And of course, not everyone's doing that. I wish they were, but a large part of society is. So there is a huge awakening going on. I mean, probably because our systems are failing, right? Like, that's the biggest wake up call, is when, like, you wake up one day and all your corn is gone.
Yeah.
Because
Like hitting rock bottom, right? When we talk
yeah,
about 12-step programs or whatever, it's like
exactly.
we're hitting rock bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
We are in so many ways. So that's when people reach out for help finally, right? When they can't deny any longer, they have a problem. So there is a lot of that going on. As for like actually integrating these knowledges, I think there's something to be said about the gap again that has to be crossed. So for example, all of these Indigenous food systems that I studied that were hugely successful, right? Like all of the ones I studied in my dissertation, and there was at least 30 case studies, were at least 1,000 years old. Some of them were 6,000 years old. Actually, the otter fishery by the Chumash in what we now call Malibu, California, was 11,000 years old. So it's like, these are really ancient, tried, true, successful methods, right? So, but my point is, one of the hallmarks of these systems is that they are liberated. They are, the food that we eat is not just food, it's a living being that we respect, and we let them come and go when they want. So we don't have fences, we don't have cages. Even the word farm is not inherently a bad word, but it can be, because sometimes farming connotes extracting, right? Like eating something out of the earth for you, right? And that is just not what Indigenous peoples did. If anything, we gardened, we tended, we cultivated, we supported, we augmented systems. But a hallmark of these systems is they are non-human centric. They are not for us alone. Do they feed us? Yes. Do they feed us well? Yes. But are they for us alone? No. And ironically, the more we seek to become a species that serves other species, a species that is in service to all life, which is what we believe Creator put us here to do. Ironically, you get more than when you're just selfish and self-serving, you get less. It's very interesting. And so my challenge has been helping people make that conceptual leap from, oh, I'm gonna make a little square farm and I'm gonna maximize productivity for me, my company, my community, blah, blah, blah. And say, wait a second, let's just take a deep breath and step back here. What if the whole world was a garden? What if the entire ocean was a garden? What if this whole place could be tended instead of just these little intensive farms where we're just sucking it out? But what if, like, the chestnut groves grew from Maine down to Georgia? So these chestnut groves were massive, and they served squirrels, birds, chipmunks. Animals would eat these chestnuts too. And so I'm trying to break people out of the box of the farm and put them into the paradigm of the ecosystem. How to tend an ecosystem and dip your cup into the riches of that ecosystem when you need something to eat. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's a hard task.
Yeah, so that's Lila June, and Scott, you had mentioned that she's been on your show, so some of you
Yeah.
might be familiar with her. It's this is just a little piece. I mean, the rest of her interview is also incredible. And do we have time for one last one?
How long is there the next one?
I think it's about, let me just, before I say it, 3 minutes and 49 seconds.
You know what I'd like to do? If you
Yeah.
don't mind sticking around, because I want to get to some of our other presenters and I want to read some of the comments coming in.
Sure.
And then a little bit later on, we'll come back and do that. How does that
Sure.
sound?
That sounds great.
But I do want to let everybody know, again, here is the amazing Heart of Nature Summit that you put together with so many people that we respect. And now, can people still watch this?
So technically the summit ended on Earth Day. Earth Day was the final day of the summit. What we decided to do is we're going to be offering a replay weekend, which will be on Saturday and Sunday, where folks can watch for free for 48 hours, basically. And so you're the first ones to know, really. And the link's not even available because we're gonna start announcing starting tomorrow morning. And that being said, going to heartofnaturesummit.com tomorrow, you will be able actually, let me just rephrase that. Scott, would you like me to share the link that we have on the chat so that folks can join that way? Or would you like to do that?
Yeah. I just put in the main link. And if you want to put in my link, that's great. But the most important thing is definitely for people to know.
So that we know that folks came from here. Let's see.
Okay. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to read a few comments that have come in.
Sure.
Sylvia writes, I felt Lila June was responding to my enthusiasm, even in the recording. Right on. And Connie and Andrew write, Lila June has expressed a root cause of a world out of balance, bringing a pathway to the heart and connection to the sacredness of all life. Beautifully stated. As always, Connie and Andrew were very eloquent. Susan writes, thank you for offering the replay. I signed up but wasn't available to watch. I'm so glad I can watch now. And Adrena Joy writes, what if we focus more on being human than are altogether becoming more humane? Good point. And Sylvia writes, I identify as a gender diverse womb being living into my name of the forest. And And anyway, those are the ones. Well, one more. Doug May writes, we also need the non-linear thinking and the mandate for collaboration that come with feminine organizing and leadership and energizing. Absolutely, Doug. From one old white guy to another, I agree. Richard writes, we forgot too that we are nature ourselves. And Sylvie, again, has put that into the chat. And we'll come back to Sylvie one more time tonight. But a reminder that it's available for free for 48 hours, and we can all watch it this weekend. So let's do that. And I'm going to bring you up one more time, Sylvie. Let's all twinkle Sylvie for this amazing work she's doing. And let's, if you missed it, let's catch it over the weekend. And we'll come back to Sylvie for one more guest a little bit later on the show. We just added something to the show. Darina Joy is keeping track of people's birthdays. So Jerry Anderson, if you're listening, wake up, because we are going to honor you. We just learned was Jerry's birthday on Earth Day, April 22nd. Hey, partner. And I understand you finally caught up with me. We're both 68. But I can always now call you young man now that I know that myself.
Yes, I got to be with the Frank sisters in Canada for the Jacob Collier concert on my birthday in Toronto.
Oh, well, that's pretty awesome. I just happened to see one of those sisters in our chat box. Hello, Charlotte. Well, I think with the balloons behind him, Omashar may have a little ditty to play that we all might recognize.
Nobody knows this song. Happy, happy. Hang on a minute. It's really high for me. I'll have to do this little cheat. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jerry. Happy birthday to you. We love you, brother.
Thank you.
In the Global Peace Tribe tradition, on a person's birthday, you're going to share your vision for the next year, this new cycle around the sun that just began. What do you want to see you personally experiencing over these next 365 days?
Well, my main focus and drive and mission at this time is the Mystic Monastery, bringing a legacy to our planet that can last for centuries and centuries, especially driven for what I say 5 words. They're highly sensitive, empathic, mature souls that are looking for a sanctuary on planet Earth.
All right, so everybody, let's hold that vision. Tremendous success, maximum grace for the Mystic Monastery, attracting all the support, all the right beings, and absolute blessings. I'm going to add radiant health for our beloved wild monk of the Mystic Monastery, Jerry.
Thank you. God bless you all.
Love you. All right. Well, we're going to go back to our regular. Now we're returning to our regular scheduled programming, which includes Jesse Epp, who is going to bless us with some music. But Jesse, before you play your beautiful guitar, how do you make every day Earth Day? What's your relationship to our beloved Mother Earth?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking. I feel like I do a lot for the physical planet and for Gaia consciousness. I make it a daily thing to get out into nature, whether it's ocean or forest, and really sink my feet in the earth and connect with her. Quite often I'll bring my guitar as well and just play in kind of the middle of the forest or at the ocean, and the birds always listening and connecting with it, and I get some calls back sometime, and it's quite lovely, and just in an energetic sense as well. For those who know this practice, I send my energetic cord down into the core of the earth, It's a very, very grounding piece where you're sort of grounding your soul in essence in the core of the planet. So you're like sending your core down and you feel it connect almost like you're plugging a socket like into a wall outlet, and then it connects. And then I feel that connection, and then it's there, and you can feel her like the sacred mother, and she's with you. And I really, really resonated with one of the videos when they were talking about the grandmother energy. I feel like that is so important to realign it really and put at the forefront of everything. Like the ancient wisdom lies in that. And yeah, in a physical sense, just in my small town I live in, whenever I kind of walking through the town and I see garbage, generally I'll always pick it up and put it in the trash. I feel like as the leaders of this New Earth movement, we have to be the first ones in every sense of the word. So when we act that way, when other people see it, then they have the option to do the same. You're giving them that option, whereas before they didn't have it. And also I don't throw anything in the garbage. Everything, the way I live is very simple, and everything that I sort of purchase, you could say, can always either be recycled or composted. So I have really no like imprint in the world. I also don't drive a vehicle, not necessarily by choice, but still that's something that's been, obviously it can make an impact on the planet. And the speak of the masculine and feminine before, I would see definitely a great redefinition has to happen with those words. How I see the masculine, the divine masculine in its sort of true form would be like a really strong, sturdy, solid tree where it's just there and it's in total stability and conviction and determination, and it's like inspired action too, rather than just kind of like frivolous doing things all the time, but just that kind of like very inspired, concentrated action. And then the feminine would be like the creative energies, the right brain of the side, the innovations, the flowing, the movement, the dancing, these kind of things. And I feel like when we embody the balance of both of those, again, not only do we act as an example for others in that sense, but we just feel that, we become balanced beings, and everything becomes, you could say, more effortless, more easeful. The lessons and these kind of things just become more subtle, you could say. And I personally love Gaia very much. We're very connected. The birds, the ocean waves, all of these things. And we are nature. We're not separate from it just because we live in these like box houses and stuff now. That's why you can go in a forest, you can feel, you don't need to eat anything, you don't need to drink anything, assuming it's not like a rigorous exercise, because you're completely fed by the environment, by the prana, by the amount of lushness around you in the forest and the river and all of this. You have everything that you need. So the nature returns us to our natural selves because we're quite far from it as we've come as a species, and we're only just reawakening to that. I also think Corona was a big sort of like impact on the world, where there were those few days where those videos were shown that the humans weren't doing their things and the world just blossomed, like the earth herself. The skies cleared, the oceans, all the things within days. So it's just, that became a very obvious thing for humanity. I think that they were, humans were the sort of like, the cause of all that, essentially. And when we learn to reawaken that connection with nature, really be with the animals as well, the animal consciousness, the non-physical earth spirits as well, like the elementals. It's a beautiful thing, and we're only just beginning this journey. So, yeah.
Wow, beautifully stated. Absolutely beautifully stated. And thank you. You know, I just want to again emphasize my admiration for people like yourself who lead a simple, clean life. And that is, you know, so important. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I eat plant-based as well.
Thank you. Well, I'm having my potato here. And eating while you play. You know, while Jesse plays, I'd love to reflect on what you've heard tonight so far. and what Earth Day every day means to you. And I'd love for people to put it in the chat box, and I'll read some of the comments that come in. One just came in right now from Ellie. Ellie writes, everything Jesse said is so simple and so beautiful, much resonance. Thank you for that, Ellie. And yeah, let's all really tune in. And, I want to invite everybody watching on Facebook. What you can do is you can send, or you can join us, go to globalpeacetribe.com, join us, and you'll get the Zoom room link, come on in. Or you can send a message to me on Facebook. I'm the only Scott Katamas on the planet. Easy to find me, send me a message and I'll read your messages. Send it to me as a Facebook message and Messenger, and I'll read your messages. But as we're listening to the beautiful music, and it's a gift we're about to hear this music from Jesse, it's very spirit driven. What comes up for everybody? What does living every day, honoring Earth Day every day mean to each of you? So that's enough for me, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, partner.
Thank you. Yeah, so I play my guitar. I play my music also in 528 hertz, which is considered to be harmonic to life, to earth vibrations. They say the bees buzz in this frequency when you hear them. And I've tested this as well with my guitar tuner. I've went to different sort of spots and heard the birds and saw where it went on the needle, and the ocean waves as well. And generally it's always in the 432 hertz to 528 hertz frequency. And I've found great resonance with this. So I'll be playing in 528 hertz tonight. And the first piece I'll play is a piece by a Paraguayan composer called Agustin Barrios Mangoré. This piece is called Un sueño en la floresta, which means a dream in with the flowers, lying in a flower bed, essentially. He fell asleep under a tree and he woke up and composed this piece. And I'm playing this because I feel this composer, when I hear his music and when I play it, I feel like I'm playing as nature. The way he composed and the sounds he uses, you can hear the forest sounds, you can hear the birds, you can hear like a jungle kind of vibe. And I really love it. Also, for those of you who don't know, the 7 chakras in the human body are coordinated with the 7 keys of music. So from the root chakra to the crown chakra, it's C to B in the scale. So this piece I'm going to be playing is in G. So it's for the throat chakra, for anybody who wants to tune into that or simply just feel it and see if that's where it resonates. Also, this piece is in what's called a tremolo style. So you'll hear I'll be moving the bass notes with my thumb and plucking the melody notes with my fingers. It sort of creates this sound almost like a violin bow, this long extended note, because the guitar, upon the initial inception, it begins to die and decline. So this is a way of sustaining that. So yeah, please enjoy. Thank you for listening. It's my pleasure to be of service in this way. My greatest passion on this earth and what I've dedicated my life to. So thank you very much.
Jesse, did you turn your original sound off?
Thanks for the reminder. I'll start that again. Thank you.
There's usually I go to different members of our community during songs, but just I wanted the full attention to be on the beauty of your playing and on what it's invoking in everybody's heart.
Thank you.
So beautiful. It must be amazing to be like that, but then to also be able to be such a clear channel for spirit to flow through, and to have a combination of spirit flowing through you and the musical dexterity to play at that level. I'm having great envy in this moment for you. That's a beautiful gift, and thank you for sharing that gift with us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
A reminder, and I put it in the chat box, but for any of you watching on Facebook, which is remote, you can connect with Jesse on Facebook. And his Facebook page is just his name, Jesse Epp, E-P-P, Jesse Epp. And there we are. That's what's happening tonight. Also, he has some wonderful YouTube videos. I put them in the chat box. We're going to hear another song from Jesse a little bit later on in the show. And I want to read some of the comments that have come in. Richard writes, "We can feel your passion in the music." I'm going to keep Jesse up so people can look at him while I'm singing pieces. Reverend Jeffrey writes, "I love hearing such talent." Amushar writes, "Sublimely, supremely beautiful." Jesse, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Monk Goddess is with us, Satina. She writes, "Thank you for this wonderful music." Dorina Troy sent an image, which I'm going to post in a moment. And I'll go back to that in a moment. Ellie, again, appreciating you so much. Donna writes, "Jesse, this is such beautiful soul-soothing music." Richard writes, "I love this. Acoustic guitar is so beautiful. Jesse, I could listen to that all day." Continues on and on and on. Deborah writes, "I'm absolutely mesmerized by Jesse's music." So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And for those who kind of responded to my suggestion of tuning in to kind of the Earth Day message, Dorina Joy submitted this image and writes, "This Earth Day, this beautiful image resonated deeply with me, with its embedded ceremonial chant familiar to most of us. It reminds and invites us to be more in harmony with ourselves, the elements, nature, and beyond, with the stars, beings, and our galactic brothers and sisters. Water my blood, air my breath, fire my spirit, earth is my body." So thank you, Dorina Joy, for that. And I see that Ayada just joined. I think she's who first connected me with you, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I just joined the call, missed your song. He's doing another one soon. Anyway, we love you, Ayada. Thank you for bringing Jesse into our Global Peace Tribe. Thank you. And Jesse, we'll see you in a little bit.
Yep. Thank you.
We're running a little bit late tonight. It's going to be a long show because we've got so many wonderful things happening. And next, I'm going to bring up Deborah Emanuel, who has been a Global Peace Driver, watched some of our shows, reached out, was sharing with me what she's doing. And I thought that would be a great example of local action to share. So welcome, Deborah, to the Awakening World.
Thank you so much, Scott. It's such an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you.
What would you like to share with our audience tonight?
I'm sorry, I missed that. Some of your words cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I asked, what would you like to share with our
Oh,
audience?
yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Sylvie, because Sylvie, everything you shared is foundational to what I'm going to be talking about. I was amazed at the synchronicity between the content. So yeah, so thank you for that.
Sure.
And I loved hearing everything that you said and everything that you're doing. It's wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes. So my focus has been in the last decade or so, focused on water and what's happening with the water. And I moved to Arizona in 2008 and began working at the community level and bringing community together to educate. And I started finding out some things about what's happening with the water here that really concerned me. So I dove in and started researching, and I found out that, and I'm just going to give a background. I'm not going to stay on the things that we don't want for too long, but I think a little bit of background is important because what's happening here is happening everywhere. But I found out that here in the Southwest and in Arizona, the water was getting low. Millions well, actually at this point, billions of dollars, government funding have come down to support the rivers, and they only are getting more contaminated and lower water levels for groundwater and surface water both. And I found out that they were using effluent, which is the treated sewage, to inject down into the aquifers to keep the aquifers from drying out, because the levels were getting too low to support the needs for water in every community, especially given that they were continuing to develop at a time when water is an issue. And everyone recognizes that the overpumping of water is a big part of the problem, but no one's talking about maybe not doing that. So I started talking to treatment plant operators and finding out why this is considered a good idea. And basically the response that I got is, well, this is how we handle this. And the problem of lowering water levels has become evident. And the only solution that the cities and the state governments and the federal governments see as a possibility is the recharge, using effluent to fill the rivers, using effluent to fill the aquifers. And so I started doing research on the quality of that effluent. And there's about 200 chemicals that cities test for when they're doing the treatment, the effluent release into the environment. And there are tens of thousands of chemicals in the water that are not monitored, not regulated, not tested. And so all of those chemicals stay in the water throughout the process. So I've been working, in 2017, I was invited to join an organization called the Mother Earth Restoration Trust. And I have been involved with, very much deeply involved with them ever since. And in 2021, some land came for sale at the Verde headwaters. The Verde River is the last perennial free-flowing river in Arizona. And the headwaters for that river, where the Mother Earth births that river, the land for that came up for sale, and we were asked to purchase it to create a perpetual conservation area to support the longevity, the perpetuity of the Verde River. And we had it consulted. The Mother Earth Restoration Trust works with people in four peoples in the heart of the world, and who have Earth. They know, they remember the old original agreements. Those original agreements basically were that Mother Earth and all of the elements would supply everything that humanity needs. And in return, because one of the laws, the natural laws of the universe are reciprocity and complementarity, so we agreed in the origins that we would care for the Earth. And that would perpetuate the ability for Mother Earth and the elements to supply everything that we need. Well, clearly Mother Earth and the elements have fulfilled their part of that agreement, and humanity has fallen short in a huge way. So, so to go back to the peoples in the heart of the world, the four tribes, they said, they consulted, they checked in with the Verde River and the headwaters here, and they said, this river is in danger. And so we were able, through very many generous people, we were able to make that purchase, to purchase the 42.7 acres. And our goal is to have a perpetual conservation area. Part of the problem with that, part of the challenge, I'll say, is that the headwaters used to be 6 miles north of us. And the Verde headwaters are fed by two different aquifers. One is the Little Chino Aquifer, which is about 20% of the flow of the Verde, and the other 80% of the flow of the Verde is dependent on the Big Chino Aquifer, which is not on the property that we have purchased. So there is a Big Chino pipeline that has been approved of, it's been funded, and I don't know exactly when the start date is, but there are many people who are trying to make that not happen. And if that happens and the Big Chino pipeline begins to pipe water from the Big Chino Aquifer into southern Arizona and other areas in Arizona, that the Verde River base levels will drop much more than they already are. So, so what we know to be true is that Mother Earth is obviously a feminine being. Water is a feminine being. And that's basically, like everyone has said, it's not about masculine and feminine, because we all have negative charges, electrons in us. So we all have the same amount of electrons, which are negatively charged particles that are the embodiment of the feminine principles. And the positively charged particles within us are the masculine principles, the embodiment of that. So as I learned everything that I was learning about the river, it was very upsetting to me to find out all that was happening. And so I went to the Verde River one day, and I sat and I just felt her, and I asked her, this wasn't planned, but it's the question that came out of me was, how can you flow so consistently with such amazing grace every day, with everything that's going on, with all of this chaos that's happening in the world and with the waters? And she seemed surprised by my question, but she just very clearly said, well, this is who I am. This is what I do. My purpose is to nurture and nourish all life along my path until I return to the ocean, to oneness. And then she said, and besides, what you humans are calling chaos is not what you think it is. It's not about the battle between light and dark or good and bad. It is because of the lack of honoring of the feminine. the feminine qualities, the feminine principles of reciprocity and complementarity and compassion and caring. And she said that imbalance that has been created by humanity on this planet has created a hole in the cosmos that has thrown the entire web of life out of balance. And so what is needed most for rebalancing are those feminine principles coming from each of our hearts. We take care of what we love. Wendell Berry said that, and I love that quotation. When we come back to recognizing that we have the same percentage of water within our own being as Mother Earth does. And when we purify our own inner waters by purifying our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, which are sacred. Every thought, every word, every action is sacred. And we can work on purifying our own inner waters. And one of the rituals that I've started doing is every night before I go to bed, I honor the waters within me, the feminine energies that I carry, and going into my own womb and really honoring the energy of creation within me. And then every morning I honor the sun and I open to allow that sunlight to come into my inner waters and purify them. The sun still holds the masculine, the original masculine principles. And that is the healed masculine. That is the passion and the fire of the pure masculine energy. And when we allow ourselves to open and allow that sunlight to enter into for women, into our wombs, for men, all of the empty spaces between the subatomic particles are like a womb space. It's the unified field. That space can be purified. And since you're up, I'm assuming that my time is done. That went fast.
It is so beautiful. It is just beautiful. And I put it into the chat box, but for everybody watching on Facebook or our broadcast partners, there is a GoFundMe that I really want to encourage us all to support. I'll make a donation. I'll even accept their cookies.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. And to find it, just go to GoFundMe and type in Verde River Headwaters. If you type that in, you'll find it. Verde River Headwaters. Let's all donate. I'm going to put, again, the link is in the chat box for everybody. And Deborah, this is such a wonderful example of how you've really taken something that's important, that's local, and working with it. And it's not easy. It's so hard working against big organizations, water districts and politicians. So I respect you, because that's hard work. And it's not usually quickly fulfilling. It's usually a long, long battle with many stops and starts.
We are making some amazing progress as far as clearing the contaminants from the river. I won't be able to get into that tonight, but that could be maybe another show, because that's very promising and it's very exciting. And because
stay with us, and you can put that in the chat box. Definitely share more if there's anything that you've got documentation to put in the chat box. I'm sure that people would love to see that. Okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, Deborah. And I'm sorry that we've just got so much. We still have Jane Fonda. I know. And we also have coming in is my good friend Lori Grace. And you've seen Lori on the show a few times before, kind of coming in and out because of the background. But I'm going to keep the background up, because otherwise you're going to see my messy bedroom. But Lori I've known Lori for almost 40 years, and she's always been committed to the environment. She's a true environmental activist, and our theme today is Every Day is Earth Day, and Lori lives that. She lives it. I'm blessed to be living on her property. She has 2 properties, one in the Bay Area and one in Maui. And we're going to talk a lot about her vision for sustainable agriculture and what she's actually created, which is really a model for hopefully how many of us will be living in the future. So welcome, Lori.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll take a look at your slideshow in a moment, but do you want to just start with a little history about your relationship to making Everyday Earth Day?
Well, like Deborah, I also feel a deep connection with Mother Earth and with the land and also with the ocean. And my place is in Maui. So I have created a farm, not only organic and permaculture based, but also a farm that we are raising food and seeking to not depend anymore on food flown in from the mainland to feed our animals or even ourselves if we limited ourselves to what we can grow on the farm. And to create a sovereignty where we're not going to depend on the gas and oil inputs to bring food and other important organic supplements and things like that to Maui, okay? And so we've created a farm. I started really getting very serious about this in 2020 during the lockdown and things about what can we do to be a farm that's entirely sovereign within itself? And it's taken time to make that happen, but we're extremely close to it. And we're getting ready to open up to a few select interns to come in and study with us. But basically, we're focusing on raising high protein foods in addition to standard tropical Hawaiian foods, most of which are very high in carbohydrates, like taro, pineapple, papaya is a little less, but still there, bananas, and creating protein foods to create sustainability, perhaps in hard times to come, and to be able to feed our animals who are thriving. And then beyond that, we've moved into insect farming. And we raise insects and larvae to be able to feed our 125 fish, our 40 chickens, 30 ducks, and 4 goats. I mean, 3 goats rather. And so we are becoming a model of sustainability within a human and animals living and being together, okay? And also raising food that's healthier for us than bananas, for instance, raise one's sugar level really high, and pineapple also. So, you know, these things have to be eaten very selectively, and they're all tropical, okay? So what could we do that is a staff of life? So we found it. We have moringa that we're growing. We have bele, which is Hawaiian hibiscus, very high in protein. We have katuk, which is from Indonesia, but also these are viewed as staff of life type foods in even the Philippines, okay? So we're changing our model, and very different than U.S. agriculture. We are raising insect larvae to feed our animals and then ourselves. And when we've tested and taste tested eggs and fish grown with these things, they won the taste test blindfolded twice over a 2-year period of time. So we know we're on a really fascinating and correct track for doing something really outstanding and unusual.
It's true.
And we're getting ready to teach it to people.
we're going to take a look at some pictures of what's going on, because a picture tells 1,000 words. There is Lori's property. It's on the jungle side of Maui. It's my favorite place on the planet. I've been going there for, since
And
1985.
going here in June.
And we'll be there together teaching a workshop in June. So if you want to come to Maui, Lori and I, the last week of June, we're going to be leading a wonderful workshop that'll include compassionate communication and salsa dancing,
And some tantra.
all sorts of good stuff.
And possibly Sufi dancing. Mhm.
And there are the
There
fish,
are some of our fish. We have
Some.
many more.
many, many, many more. Um,
Oh, duckweed is another thing we're raising.
uh,
All these are about 40% protein.
wow. I'm going to put this PDF, by the way, in the chat box so people can
These
watch
are
it.
greenhouses where we're raising food,
Look at that lettuce. Look at how gorgeous and green that is.
and all organic, and they are fed by our well water and fish waste. Mhm.
I see it's completely sustainable. Now, what are these?
These are our aquaponic tanks, and we've recently added a low-income aquaponic tank, which you don't see here because it's recent. But we wanted to create models for people who don't have much money, who want to create some level of sustainability, even in their own backyards. And this low-income one, which I don't have a picture of right now, is an example of what you can do for $500, and you can raise 25 fish.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go back to see a little bit more. And there are the fish again. And again, she raises the larvae, soldier fly larvae, to feed the fish. So it's all a beautiful, beautiful cycle.
Right, exactly.
But there's a lot of
And
really
the
good.
eggs, with the chicken, then let's pause there. The chickens, their yolks are more yellow and more full of nutrients. The ducks lay more eggs and have more babies, and that's what we're doing right now with the ducks. The fish grow faster than if we just fed them fish food. And I found out that commercial fish food like Aquamax, even organic, the Purina food is filled with toxic metals and Roundup and GMO grains. So I felt really despairing when I learned that the fish were being fed this in commercial fish farms. So what I've also done is dedicate some rooms on my property where people can come and stay, pay to stay, and be a part of our farm projects. And they get to learn about all the different animals in the sea that are badly impacted, sadly, by overfishing, which is really everywhere on our planet. So I'm trying to show that by creating our own fish farm, we're stepping out of the racket of overfishing, and we are taking responsibility to create healthy fish. And now shortly we're going to move into teaching it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you, Lori, for the amazing work you're doing. I'm going to take just a couple of pictures. Yeah, we're going to go through more pictures. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're not
Okay.
done yet.
So this is a picture, if you look carefully, you can see little black pupae. These are the ones that are going to turn into soldier flies. And then you can see the white ones, which are younger. And when a soldier fly becomes a fly, they don't bite, they don't eat food. So they're very clean, and they end up, one female will lay 500 eggs. And the thing that we've done is really get the males and females excited about mating. And in our research, what turned out to be great is having music in the background and flowers. And this makes the insects mate more fully.
She showed me a video. I don't have it here, but she showed me a video where in the mating area where they have all these tubs of larvae, And they're playing beautiful music for the larvae. Now, how many people do you know that's playing music for their soldier fly larvae? That's-
Want to bake with beautiful music and flowers around and banana leaves and
And we're about to have some beautiful music from our friend Jesse Epp. But let's complete this
I would.
the slideshow.
I would say You do that. So scrolling down. So these, every single one of those white dots are 500 creatures waiting to hatch
That's
and be
amazing.
born. This is an example of just some of the ducklings that have hatched on our property.
Wow, beautiful.
And going further, these are some of our chickens, and they're all very healthy. And because we also feed them moringa, they have very healthy intestinal tracts. You know, and it's just so different than ordinary chickens.
Beautiful.
So the last part,
Oops, is one-
yeah, if you scroll down a little bit more. So if people end up wanting to join us, you can scroll a little faster right now. This is a farm tour happening here, and if you scroll down again, you know, this is our farm store or part of our farm store. So people can join a membership and get to stay in a certain room.
Mm.
And they contribute some money and to our nonprofit and to our research center. Okay, and then so you know, it's really very strictly nonprofit and research. So all of these animals are challenged by human beings, and we really want to help the ocean as well as the land.
I love some of these, the ways that you put it, and all the different membership levels. And I, as I say, I've been staying at Haleakua for since 1985. It's the most beautiful place on the planet, with waterfalls, pools, hot tubs, incredible views in the jungle of Maui. It's on the jungle side. Here's all about Lori's story, which is a wonderful, wonderful story, working with the Marine Mammal Center, saving babies,
Sea lions.
sea lions.
Mhm.
So I'm going to put this PDF into the chat box so everybody can read it on their own. And any last
Well,
thoughts? Lori?
they can also contact either me or Haleakua if they are actually, probably would be better to contact me if people are interested in some level of internship.
Okay.
And I mean, it is a course, you have to pay something for it, and you get to stay in a cabin and donate through work. You know, you're working online, hands-on learning.
And do you want
as
people
well.
to email you or call you?
Call.
Okay, give me your number again.
It's 415-847-5950. And we only have about 3 places for this, but for people who want to move into a new cutting edge approach of raising food and being sustainable for the next 25 years, this is the big start for a new way of living, breathing, and raising food and supporting animals too.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lori. And
Mhm.
also, let's thank Lori. Of course, many of you saw her on Monday night as she was the host for the incredible event we did with Danny Sheehan,
Yes.
sharing remarkable information about what's really going on in the whole UFO, UAP field. So I'm going to go to the gallery view. Let's all give Lori a good Global Peace Tribe twinkle of appreciation. Yeah, lots and lots of love and appreciation for what Lori's doing. Absolutely.
Yay.
And Lori, I hope you can stick around for a little bit, because we've got a beautiful musical artist, Jesse Epp. Which of yours music is very, very beautiful. And I know you love beautiful music.
Mhm.
In fact, you may even play his music for your larvae someday.
Yeah. It's gonna happen. In honor of the Scorpio full moon.
There we go. That's right. And Lori is a Scorpio. So there you go. Jesse, any thoughts in hearing what Lori or Deborah or Sylvia have shared today?
I loved all of it. First I'll start with what Deborah was saying about the waters and all that. There are many things in there that I was resonating with, and I think anything that we can do really to raise funds and help support these kind of things in as good a way as that we can, whether it's with money or just with other kind of different types of support, the better that is. You know, it's like physical action is the language of reality. It's not words. You know, it's when we act, that's how we change things. Like meditating and imagining is one thing to create the image and the idea that we want, but we have to actually act on it as well. We have to actually become that. And yeah, really beautiful. And what Lori was saying, that's beautiful that you have a place in Hawaii, Maui. It's one of my dreams to go there, and it sounds like what you're doing is extraordinary. And yeah, I'm always very inspired when I listen to people like you, so thank you.
Jesse, we would love to listen to whatever you got ready for us.
Okay, yeah, this time I'm going to be playing a piece called Recuerdos de la Alhambra, which is a Spanish piece of music. Some people may know it. It's fairly well known in the classical guitar repertoire, you could say. This piece is in the key of A minor. So it's coordinated with the third eye chakra. If you feel it there, I want to focus in that center. I would say it's actually quite a, being that it's Spanish, very traditionally Spanish, it's quite a romantic piece of music. So this will go out to your larvae, Lori.
Great.
And in honor of the Scorpio full moon, I'll say, yeah, please enjoy, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Jesse. And of course, again, I'm going to go to Gallery View where we can all just send him some heartfelt appreciation and twinkles.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing. There she is. There's Lori. Thank you so much. Wow. Well, we have talked about having this video that I saw. Jane Fonda was part of Sylvie's summit, and I went online and I found this beautiful video of Jane. Many of you have heard me talk about that. I had the good fortune for 11 years. Every summer, I was at Jane Fonda's ranch in Santa Barbara, where I helped to create a performing arts camp for young people. And she's an incredible woman, one of the most incredible people I've ever known. And here is what Jane has to say about Earth Day every day.
When I first became an activist in 1970, it was the women that I met that really changed my life. They were people who showed up in a different way. They were like embodied compassion. Being with them was like looking through a keyhole at the world we were fighting for. And I just thought, I want to be like them. You know, I was a movie star already, but they were real, and they were different than any of the people that I had spent my life with, and I was 32 years old. So that was really when I feel my life began. I've been an environmentalist for most of my life. I had marched in protests and lobbied and things like that. One day about 5 years ago, there were the wildfires in California. The skies were brown orange. It was 112 degrees. And I read that birds were dropping dead out of the sky over New Mexico and Arizona because they had to find a new migratory route from Canada because the West Coast was on fire. I thought, what is happening? The world is changing, and I have a platform, and I'm not really using all that I have. I knew that I wanted to leave my comfort zone and move to Washington, D.C. and raise a ruckus about the climate crisis because I saw very clearly what we had to do. It was in the fall of 2019, and I was moving to Washington, D.C. to work with Greenpeace to create this Fire Drill Friday rally. Every Friday we rallied in front of Congress and engaged in nonviolent civil disobedience and risked getting arrested. And the hardest part was that we were focusing on fossil fuels. You know, the fight against the climate crisis is like scissors. It requires two blades. It takes two blades to cut. One blade, the alternative green energy future, electric vehicles and solar panels and wind turbines and so forth. And that's absolutely critical, and that's one blade. The other blade is phasing out of fossil fuels. This doesn't mean turning the spigot off right away, but not doing any new fossil fuel development and phasing out of fossil fuels. That is what had to happen. Climate science says that we have to cut our fossil fuel emissions in half by 2030. This is what they said 12 years ago. We're running out of time. What happens in November, the elections in November, will determine what happens in the next 4 years. The end of those 4 years, we can't start doing what's right and get done in time. So we have to elect people to the presidency, to the Senate, to Congress, but also to mayors and city councils and boards of supervisors and county executives. The down ballot races are critical because that's where the robust work on climate is happening now. Take all of your anxiety about what's happening and bring it to the poll and vote for the climate champion. It's why I started a Jane Fonda Climate PAC to elect climate champions up and down the ballot. And, you know, we've elected over 70 now. It's really good. All of us that are alive today are the first people, we are the first generation to experience the effects of the climate crisis. And we're the last generation that can do anything about it. We're the ones, we have a responsibility. And so that is why everything else that I care about, democracy, safety, economic equality, justice, all those things are going to be very, very hard to achieve if we don't have a stable climate.
Unmute.
I do have to unmute. Thank you, Jane. I love that.
What?
She is such an amazing woman. She really is. And I'm going to go back to another amazing woman, which is Sylvie. Thank you, Sylvie, for sticking around.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I'm delighted that you shared the clip from Jane because I was just awed interviewing her simply because, I mean, forget the part about her being an icon. She's just so full of heart and authenticity and vulnerability and energy. Like she was talking to us about how incredibly powerful it was for her to get out of depression to actually start being active. So because you were sharing a clip from Jane today, I thought I'm not going to share a clip from Jane, but I wanted to leave you all with a clip that is really beautiful, fascinating in my perspective, because it's the story of what the Amazon rainforest does to the rest of our planet. And that's the 4-minute clip that I was telling you about, Scott. So should I go ahead and share that?
Please do.
Awesome. Let me just cue it up real quick. Alrighty. Here we go. So just before I start sharing the clip itself, I'll preface this with Atossa Soltani is the person who created the organization called Amazon Watch. This was 23 years ago, and the name came to her immediately like a spirit download when she had a bullhorn, basically like speaking the truth to the president of Brazil at the time, who was claiming to be an environmentalist, and it was BS. And by saying to the press, I am with, and then she came up with the name Amazon Watch, her whole career of defending the Amazon and connecting with indigenous peoples, like something like 33 tribes. She's been doing work with the United Nations. She has been at government levels in several countries and doing extraordinary work. I'm honored to call her a friend and a dear, dear, dear colleague. So I'll share a little piece of my interview with her.
On the ground with trusted relationships with these indigenous nations. So here I am today.
Wow, it's
33 years later.
Yeah, the work you're doing is really amazing. And for the folks on this call, and when you think of like so many people around the world, they might think, well, the Amazon's so distant from where I live, why should I even care? And at the very beginning, like, decades ago, we used to hear, well, the Amazon is the lungs of the world, right? Because of the oxygen it produces and all of that. But more recently, and actually it's one of the reasons that I had the idea, let's bring you to this conversation, because more recently scientists are saying the Amazon is not only the lungs of the world, it's actually the heart of the world. And so I would love for you to explain to us, what does that mean?
Sure. Yeah, and it's interesting. Scientists are just catching up with what indigenous peoples were always saying to us, saying the Amazon is the heart of the planet. And it took science a while to catch up, but basically if you look at the Earth from space, the tropical rainforests happen where they're like a 3,000 mile wide band around the equator, north and south of the equator. And this band that is across the equator is where the tropical rainforests happen in Africa and Australia and Southeast Asia, all around the earth. And of course, the Amazon being the largest rainforest on the planet. And the way that the Amazon system is being recognized by science is actually being called the heart of the hydrological climatic system of the biosphere. And what that means is that basically it's here in the tropical rainforest belt, and in particular, the Amazon is the largest rainforest on the planet, that the atmospheric moisture is beckoned by the forest, brought into the low pressure zones of the tropical rainforest. There, the rain is basically falls on the forest, and the trees, through their evapotranspiration, they open their pores and sweat out all of that water. Each tree is actually lifting up into the sky about 1,000 liters of water vapor per day per tree. And in the Amazon, you have like 400 billion plus trees. So all of that, all those geysers that are rising up from the trees in the Amazon collectively create these atmospheric rivers that then are driven by the atmospheric circulation system of the planet as the Earth is rotating. And those atmospheric rivers, about half of them keep raining over the Amazon, keep generating rain, keep moisture flowing. The other half go north and south to bringing moisture and rain to the rest of the planet, to North America, for example, all the way to California. We know that modeling shows that if we lose the Amazon, we will, the hydrological cycle over the Sierra Nevada, which provides rain to the California, one of the biggest breadbaskets of the planet, would collapse. And so the Amazon also is responsible for something like 95% of all the rain that southern Brazil gets, or Argentina, or Paraguay, or all of the southern cone countries. So the Amazon is literally cycling moisture from the atmosphere, bringing it in deeper and deeper into the continent of South America. And when it hits the Andes, it's driving these atmospheric rivers north and south to the rest of the planet. Just to give you the size of the scale, the Amazon River, in terms of scale, of course, it's the largest rainforest, and the basin basically cycles 20% of all the fresh water on the planet. We're talking about an area the size of the United States that covers 9 countries. And then the Amazon River at the mouth is the flow of the Amazon River into the Atlantic is larger than the combined flow of the next 6 largest rivers, biggest rivers on the planet combined. You take the 6 largest rivers on the planet, combine them, it's just how much water is coming out of the mouth of the Amazon. But the Amazon rainforest is evapotranspiring, pumping into the sky as an atmospheric river, 20% bigger than the Amazon River every day. That's what it's doing. It's lifting up all of this moisture and vapor into the sky. And it's creating this cloud cover over the Amazon that then does the same thing as the North and South Pole ice. It's reflecting light back into space. It's cooling the planet, and it's driving the weather, and it's regulating. NASA calls the Amazon the engine of the global weather system. Literally, and if you look at time-lapse satellite imagery from the space station of the atmospheric rivers, what you see is, moisture coming in from the Atlantic, getting pumped 6 times, 7 times through the forest, literally lifting and cycling this rain before it, is dispersed across the planet. And that is why it's the heart of the hydroclimatic system. It is still also the lungs, because the Amazon sequesters all that carbon, breathes in CO2, breathes out oxygen. And that is also important for our climate system. So it's a multifunctional organ, I would say a vital organ of Gaia.
Yeah, folks, so that's Atossa Soltani, and basically I thought it was fascinating to really learn and understand how the rain that we get here in California actually comes from the Amazon, and the importance of preserving and restoring the Amazon, because we're basically right at the edge of the tipping point. The Amazon needs to be restored. And so she goes into details of how they're doing that and how everybody can contribute and help through the many organizations that are helping. And the other thing that she said that I felt was really important is the awareness that it's important to both act locally and act globally, right? So there's a balance, sort of like we try to do what's important in our own community. And at the same time, given that we're dealing with a global crisis, to also keep our hearts and our minds open and, you know, basically experience and learn about what's happening at a global level too. So that's basically the heart of nature. There's much, much more to it, and everything from personal health all the way to planetary health, and with a heart being and compassion being at the center of it.
Beautiful. So again, everybody, it's heartofnaturesummit.com. This weekend, you can watch the replay. There's also a lot of beautiful free bonuses that she's providing. And Sylvie, thank you so much for your incredible dedication and sharing these wonderful snippets. A couple of comments that just came in. Ayada wrote, "I'm stunned to learn this about the Amazon, something that everybody needs to know."
Beautiful, Ayara. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I'm from Brazil, and I was surprised myself. I didn't realize the level at which, you know, the rains and the atmospheric rivers are basically giving us water all over the globe. That to me was a huge realization too.
It's amazing. Sylvie, I know we're going to have you hopefully on the show again.
I would love to.
Lori Grace is still here. Thank you, Lori. Thank you.
Yes, thank you,
Deborah. And I want to, we're going to close with an Omer Shar song in a moment, but just a reminder, this Saturday night, we have another wonderful show planned. Kurt Kruger, who's in the office right now, listen to me, in the audience, is going to be part of our show Saturday night. And with some other wonderful presenters, Mirabai Devi, Rena Angela Wynn, and lots of great music. Of course, Omer Shar and a new friend, Michael Shervat. And then we will conclude. We'll come back to doing our KES group healings now to conclude. And it's all about our visions for creating an awakening world. Oh, and Dr. Marty Casey. How could I forget Marty? So please join us on Saturday night. Please share with your friends. Let's grow our global peace tribe. Much love, everybody. I'm going to turn it over to beloved brother Omer Shar.
The joy in our world. wake up to the light of this new day. Everybody, because we are the heart of our world, the light in our world. We are the joy in our world, the love in our world. We are the heart of our world, the light in our world. We are the joy in our world, the love in our world.
Thank you, Omashar. And look at all of our beautiful friends. Karen S., Doug May, Kristen Michaels, George Noble, Ellie, Sylvie, Jesse, myself, Lennon Leaf, Connie and Andrew, Deborah, Sherry, Sylvia, Susan, who I got seasick watching you go around and around, Susan. Ayada, Eleanor,
Joy.
and of course, the magnificent Omashar. And see, that's why you turn on your cameras. You get Scott to mention your name and acknowledge you. So thank you so much. I hope that this has been an inspiring show for everybody. It sure has been for me. It's a reminder, and I just appreciate everything that everyone's doing, whether it's Jesse and Omashar raising consciousness through their music, Sylvie and her summit, Lori and her sustainable farming, Deborah and her activism to get fresh water in her home area, and each and every one of you. All of you are making contributions in your own unique ways. So thank you for that. And if you missed the UFO show with Danny on Monday night, make sure you watch the recording. We sent it out in the email today. And you can also just go to our YouTube channel and you'll find it there. It's quite amazing. And I love each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you on Saturday night. Have a great couple of evenings, and thank you again, everybody. Take care and much love. Yes, Jesse's music too.